Alright, everybody, we're here. It is the Impact Wrestling review of 11/10/2016, November 10th, 2016. Um, pretty
Just
good,
wow.
pretty good show. Pretty good show. A lot of stuff that we expected not to happen, like the Trevor Lee win. Uh,
That was one of the biggest ones, honestly.
Amnesia Hardy is great. And
Amnesia
then,
Hardy's awesome.
as you're seeing right now,
I hated it when I saw it this morning. I hated it.
and then as you're seeing right now, the DCC reveal. So Death Council got revealed, and yeah, thumbs up. So we'll get into
Yeah.
I like
all
it.
that. So kicking off the show, we had Eddie Edwards out there with Eli Drake, who he'll be facing in the main event. We'll get to that. Mike Bennett out there, who was trashing EC3 also, and ended up there brawling, and then it was Mike Bennett taking on Moose. Mike Bennett getting the win though in terms of outsmarting Moose. So thumbs up there. I agree with that. We had a very shocking thing to say where the tribunal turned on Al Snow and Mahabali saved him, but then got beat up. Which I am going to say, I disagree with. I'm not one for Grado, but I think Grado should have came out there and been like, hey, even though what you've done to me, I'm still going to befriend you. Yeah, I think Grado should have came out there. So, bit sad in how that turned out, in my opinion, but maybe Tribunal will take it a little bit more seriously. No, they're not. But but I think it could have been good for Shira and Grado. It could have been good for them, but instead they're using Robbie E with Grado because he took on Lashley. And there's the tomfoolery with that, where we actually had a bet on how long the match lasted. I said 2 minutes 30 seconds. Mounds said 6 minutes, and Mullins said 3. Yeah, Mullins is much closer. It was about 2 minutes and 50-some seconds, 50-ish seconds exactly.
58 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, but so it was a quick squash match for Lashley this week, basically. EC3, trying to think who did he take on this week. Anybody?
EC3 was Abyss.
Yeah, so EC3 took on Abyss, and this was to determine who would go on for this World Heavyweight Championship tournament they're gonna do. So EC3 won that. Some sad Abyss took the tap out, but that was because the following segment, literally right after that, something big happened, which was Gail Kim was going out there saying, "Jade, congrats. I'm Asian, you're the next me." That's literally how it went.
That's literally what it was.
That's literally how it went.
We're not being racist, I promise you.
I'm not swerving you. I'm not swerving you. That's literally how it went. But
Literally.
Then Jeremy Borash was like, "Yeah, you're my friend." And out came Rosemary, and she trashed him. Here comes Rosemary's push. Choo choo, mother effers. Rosemary's coming. She's probably gonna get that Knockouts title. I'm gonna bet money on it, because for her not to get the title right now because of what she just did to Gail Kim and Jade, she did a freaking coast to coast, with the trash can.
Yeah.
Her, leg drop.
Oh, I hope she gets the title.
So
She did the F5 on one of them.
So yeah, and it's very creepy to see Crazy Steve do everything. Biss, straight out there, he was like, "See ya, Gail Kim," and all that. So that's really cool. We had the little segment with Amnesia Hardy, where everybody was trying to snap him back into his old self. Brother Nero comes over, and they're doing all the fade away, classify themselves obsolete, the dilapidated boat, everything.
What was the name of the boat again?
I don't know what it's called. So, but all I remember is that
they were singing that song, and he was looking at them like
he was looking at them like they were the crazy ones, and he was trying to build a new diner. He was trying to build a new dining room for the house. Just a whole bunch of craziness on that side of the segment. In the end, he still has amnesia. He still doesn't know what's going on. And we have Broken Matt Hardy, Amnesia Hardy, I guess you could say. Amnesia Hardy is, kind of abandoning Brother Nero at the moment because he doesn't believe in wrestling. So Brother Nero said he's going to take on DCC by himself. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to turn out. Very curious to see how that's going to turn out. We had some quick stuff where Aaron Rex was able to take on, or not really take on, but face Jesse Goddard in like a backstage parking lot brawl. Gosh, that was something. That was pretty good. I would watch TNA just for that. Actually, that was pretty good. We also had Trevor Lee, DJZ, and Rockstar Spud take it on, and you'll never believe who won that match. Trevor Lee won the match. And Trevor Lee's going forward to be in that World Heavyweight tournament, and what you think is just another guy to take the pin, basically. But the World Tournament is really shaping up nicely. And that's pretty much the entire show. So let's get on to the two big parts real quick, which we'll probably talk about the most now that we've got all the stuff simmed down basically for you. Eddie Edwards, Eli Drake, they fought. My boy Eli Drake lost, sadly, very sadly, but it was because at the end Eddie Edwards would get freaking massacred by DCC, kicked in the gut, just kicked in the jaw straight up. So it's revealed that DCC is contained of Eddie Kingston, who I believe they are going to keep his name as Eddie Kingston in TNA. Bram, who looks a little bit different than when we last saw him with the Rosemary thing, and James Storm. So this is very interesting to see those three together. I knew James Storm and Bram would be great as a team, but I think
because it was Gunner. It was Gunner and James Storm. I was going to say, weren't they seen before?
Well, James Storm was just as good with those kind of guys, like those big powerhouses.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really curious to see if they're going to keep the masks on or if they're not going to wear the mask anymore. I would prefer if they kept the masks on. I thought it would have been, if they don't keep the mask on, I think it would have been much more worthwhile. I don't know what the hell is going on in my background. I'm going to say that, all right?
They need to keep the suits.
Shut up!
Maybe they're fanboying over
all right, there we
the
go.
Kingston debut.
They need to keep the suits, definitely.
They need to keep the suits. Sorry for yelling. It was getting a tad bit annoying. Trying to talk over it, trying to ignore it. But just like when people start chanting CM Punk or Chris Benoit at a wrestling event, you need to tell them to shut the hell up. You're a dummy, yeah. So,
talking to you, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Talking to you, Cincinnati, Ohio, today. But, yeah, great impact. I hope they keep the suits and the masks on. It would seem dumb if they did at the same time, though, because it's like, well, now they're revealed. So, I mean, this is the big reveal, but at the same time, who knows what they'll do from here in terms of apparel and stuff like that. James Storm with the suit on looks weird. Eddie Kingston looks pretty decent, and Bram looks pretty decent. I think James Storm is just the one with the suit, which looks very weird, taking from where he used to be as the cowboy.
When they're not in wrestling.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about wrestling in suits.
I like Bram in the suit.
Yeah, wrestling in suits is gonna be a little tricky, tough one. But I don't know. Love their finishers. Love all their moves. Especially the power driver. Good God Almighty, the amount we saw a power driver on Moose tonight. Power drivers in TNA are going crazy. I'm gonna say that. But
I want to see James Storm trying super kick in a suit.
Good luck even getting your leg up. That's why they have him do he does the jaws thing. He was the one doing the knee to the jaw of Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just about to ask actually. Wait, if it wasn't Kingston, which one was the one?
It was James Storm. You thought it was Kingston. You was like, oh, it's him. He's the big guy, and no, Bram's.
You're the one who said it was Kingston.
No, because Kingston, look at his size compared to the other two.
Yeah, but the way it looks like James Storm's bigger.
I don't know. We'll just have to see. The next coming weeks or whatnot, but
I can't wait for next week's Impact.
Yeah, it's like we don't know if one will branch off, one will take
Impact
the Hardys on.
The rest of the year is going to be pretty good because I mean you got we got to know what's going to go on with the Hardys. I mean, we obviously know Total Nonstop Deletion.
Yes, we were talking about that. Total Nonstop Deletion is a go.
December 15th.
There's big rumors of a TNA network, and from my predictions, because we have not seen any Billy Corgan, I'm going to go on a limb and say that Billy Corgan, anything dealing with Billy Corgan has just been quietly tucked away, and I'm going to say that right now.
Edited out.
Yeah, it's been edited out, because TNA Seems like it's been a little bit shorter when you count in all of the amount of filler. Like they have segments where it was just everything from last week that's shown, and segments where it's just very long advertisements. So it's
I feel like
think that's where Billy Corgan comes in.
Any segments we see with Aiden O'Shea now is going to be the segments that were supposed to be Billy Corgan.
Yeah. So really sad about that one. TNA, really decent this week. Really decent.
Oh yeah.
Mal, what would you give it? What would you give it tonight?
8.5.
8.5. Rollins, what would you give it?
9.
9. I'm gonna give it a solid 8. I think the only thing that really bothers me is the blatant. That too. The blatant writing off of Billy Corgan. The long showing all of the segment from last week. Filler matches.
But you got to see Ron Harris.
Yeah, there was no Ron Harris.
Yeah. Or Ron or Don. And filler matches. Filler matches were pretty bad. But big thumbs up were the DCC Amnesia Hardy thing going on, and Jesse Goddard versus Aaron Rex. Their brawl was pretty nice. Pretty good build up to just a brawl. I'm not a big fan of this the Jesse Goddard thing. I'm just not a big fan of him going forth for this knockouts, freaking the Grand Impact Championship thing. But thumbs up, definitely big thumbs up to Rosemary. So I'm definitely looking forward to maybe a transition away from Gail Kim competing to Rosemary taking that title for her to go on her way.
I hope Gail Kim does more like. I hope she does more like backstage stuff.
I hope she does too. But yep. See you next time.